righty. You are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium, where today the 16-0 and playoff bound New York Giants are taking on the 0-16 Philadelphia Eagles. And why the Philadelphia Eagles 0-16? Because they suck. They lost the Super Bowl because they suck. The Philadelphia Eagles suck. Rolls right off the tongue there, folks. Philadelphia sucks. Welcome to the Gridiron. Anybody out there, if there's anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replay of this, once again, thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight, shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. I usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if I see something in there, as soon as I see it, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. So please feel free, fire away. Plus, instead of me just like rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever the heck it might want to be, it's nice to talk to another Giant fan. So please feel free and fire away. First, before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box, it takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon, the second one's called the Lawrence Taylor, and the third membership level is called the Gridiron. Each one's got their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, it would mean the world to me. And I thank you in advance. If you are subscribed to my channel, once again, thank you. I can use all the support I can get, guys. But if you're not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way, next time I go live or put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose, right? But if you are subscribed, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And finally, also in the description box is 2 Facebook links. The top one takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. Basically, I say this in every video, my YouTube channel, my Facebook group, my Facebook page, which I'll go over in a minute. It's all called the same things. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. That way a moron like me, I can remember. It dumbs it down for me. I'm like, what's the channel called? The same thing as the page. What's the page called? No, it's all called, everything's all called the same thing, right? New York Giants, the Gridiron. What do we have? We're over 3,800 members in the group. Doing really well. And basically, once I get done going live, I'll usually probably spend like the next 2 hours or so just putting stuff in the group and in the page, which I'll go over in a minute. Whether it's, it could be an article, could be a video, a picture, a post, something just showing some stats on a player, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys, which is my personal favorite. I try to get up to like 10 different things in the group every day if I can. Sometimes in the off season, it's a little more difficult, but during regular season, it's really easy. There's a ton of stuff out there. And if you become a member, not only do I post stuff in the group, but the members post stuff in the group as well, too. So every day there's a ton of New York Giants stuff going in the group every day. And then also in the description box below, the second Facebook link takes you to my Facebook page. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron, but it's a page. I'm the administrator, so I'm the only one who posts in the page. What do we got? We have over 1,800 people who like the page, and we have over 6,200 people who are following the page. It's really doing good. It's taken off very well. As I say, basically, it's the same thing, as is with the group. As soon as I get done going live, I'm going to start putting a bunch of stuff in here. What I said once again. So whether it's a post, a picture, a video, an article, something showing some stats on a ball player. Once again, something making fun of the Eagles or the Cowboys. And I don't really commingle them, right? So basically, for the most part, whatever I put in the page, I don't put in the group. And whatever I put in the group, I don't put in the page. It's usually I try to keep them separate. I said, unless there's something really juicy about picking on the Eagles, just making fun of the Eagles, that's what I live for. I've come to, to the realization that the reason why I put on this planet is just to make fun of the Philadelphia Eagles. So if I see something that really just makes me laugh, gives me a good chuckle about making fun of the Eagles. I just want to share it with everybody. So I might put that in the page and in the group. But other than that, I keep everything pretty much separate. And so if you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, you get a ton of New York Giants information every day. And like I say, every video, right? If you go to the page and you like it and you follow it, and you go to the group and you become a member, if you're not 100% satisfied, you get your money back guaranteed. All right, with all that stuff said and done, there was something interesting. So it was the CBS. It talked about the dynamic duo, of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, and he'll be here. Don't worry, he'll be like Santa Claus. He's not going anywhere. He'll be back. He may not be at training camp or whatever right now, but he'll be around. No, don't you worry. When they kick off against the Cowgirls, he'll be in the lineup. But I saw it was pretty interesting, just to kind of show you. Once I got 312, there we go. What the effect of Saquon, and I'm not telling Shane or Dable or none of these guys anything. They know all this stuff, but just kind of showing you the effect that Saquon has while he's in the lineup with Daniel Jones compared to when he's not in the lineup with Daniel Jones. Now, just to be fair, also, it's not like we got Daniel Jones and Saquon and we have like a Hall of Fame tight end, I'm saying about in the years in the past, and 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers. So you lose Saquon, you downgrade yourself a little bit. Saquon's out. You got Matt Breida, you got Daniel Jones, but you still got that stonewall offensive line. You got 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers out there just running routes, and you got an unbelievable tight end out there running routes. You know what I mean? Basically, let's be truthful. It's, we've had some, nice receivers, but there's no, nobody that's just scaring the crap out of you like when we had OBJ, right? So usually if Saquon's not in the lineup and Daniel Jones is under center, we're taking a big step backwards, as far as the talent. There's basically Saquon's been he's the star, especially ever since Daniel Jones has been under center. Now, let's not forget, what we had the first year that Saquon was in the lineup. We had OBJ, right? We had Sterling Shepard. We had Evan Ingram. Whether you hate Evan Ingram, like Evan Ingram, whatever. Evan Ingram was, could be a mismatch, especially if you line him up inside and you got him going up against, maybe a deep with a safety, or maybe you got a linebacker trying to cover him. It was a mismatch. Sterling Shepard was very, very good, right? And of course, then you had that OBJ dude mismatch, right? And then you got Saquon in the backfield. But that really hasn't been the case. When Saquon hasn't been in the lineup, you're taking a step back. It's big time, especially with the talent. But it says here the CBS Sports names this Giants duo as the best on the team. It's no surprise. They had this is here. They have the obvious choice: Daniel Jones and running back Saquon Barkley. But notes the author. I guess Jeff Kerr was the author. I guess maybe he does the writing or whatever for the CBS Sports. It says, look no further than Jones and Barkley told why the Giants were a playoff team last season. The only 2 threats on offense that lack playmakers. Now, let's be honest. Sterling Shepard, he had that nice long touchdown. He was wide open against the Titans. I love Darius Slayton. Dude's a class act human being. The guy could have done a million negative things, a million things last year, negative, about being demoted and, being kind of like an afterthought. And we got all these bringing all these other guys in here, and he's asked to take a pay cut and this, that, and the other thing. He could have gone on, he could have been like the jack wagon that Kadarius Toney is, and start giving middle fingers and to Tate Crowder of the world. What he tweeted, like, please get me out of here, or something like that. Or what was the dude's name?
the Giants had. It was the Golden Tate. Said, throw me the looking into the camera. I get what was against New England, I think it was. He's looking in the camera, throw me the ball or something. I mean, he could have done all kinds of stuff, like idiotic stuff like that, idiotic, childish stuff like that. But no, he took it like a man, right? And thankfully, he got rewarded for it. I mean, he's not making $30 million a year like DeVonta Smith is, but he was it $2 million, 2 years, $12 million. So good for him. But I mean, let's be for real. I mean, I said, I love Hodgins. I don't think he's ever going to be probably more than a 2, but that's good. But I mean, the guy's got hands like glue. You get him the ball where he can catch it, he catches it. I love Sterling Shepard, the guy. I hope the guy's on the Giants forever. If not as a player, hopefully maybe he can be some type of wide receiver coach or somewhere in the organization. I love Slayton. Guy likes to drop some balls, though, right? I mean, and I'm very excited about Paris Campbell and all, but I mean, as far as maybe going back to last season, right? And Richie James, but we really didn't have a ton of talent out there, right? So, as far as Daniel Bellinger, right? Had a nice rookie season, but as far as playmakers, we were a little short on that, right? But it says here, Jones has 44 passing touchdowns and 17 interceptions in the game that Barkley plays in, along with a passer rating of 91.4. Pretty good. 44 passing touchdowns, 17. So it's basically 2.5 to 1, pretty much. And a passer rating of 91.4. Daniel Jones has 16 touchdown passes and 17 interceptions in games that Barkley doesn't play, and a rating of 77.3. Barkley playing in every game Jones did last season certainly helped, as he finished 4th in rushing yards, 1,312, and 9th in rushing touchdowns with 10. Barkley had the most rushing touchdowns for a Giants player in a season since Tiki Barber of 2006, and he finished 7th in yards from scrimmage with 1,650. Now, obviously, Barkley had more rushing yards last year than he did his rookie season. I think he had 5 more rushing yards last year than his rookie season, but he had like 30 or 40 more carries. So I mean, his rookie season, he averaged about 5 yards a carry. Last year it was down around 4. He had a lot more carries last year. So that's one of the reasons why, but that he had the extra yardage. But basically he played 16 games. Let's see. His rookie season, he played in 16, and last year he played in 16. Obviously, he didn't play in the 17 because we sat all the starters in week 17. We didn't need to play him. But he had, 30? He had 34 more carries last year than he did his rookie season, and he got 5 more yards. That's my dog barking. What are we barking at, buddy? What are we seeing out there? Oh, he's seeing something out there. It's not Giants related, I can tell you that much. So, but I mean, just to kind of go show you, I mean, the implications that Barkley has. Now, if we're adding little pieces to the puzzle here. Now you're adding Waller in there, right? Now that's another weapon out there. That's going to make things, it's going to make Waller better, and it's going to make Barkley better, right? Because if you got Waller out there, you can't start creeping guys up into the box and stop Barkley. And then of course, we have the missiles on the outside. If you got Hyatt out there, maybe Slayton. So you got these guys on the outside that can really stretch the field. And you want to start bringing all these guys into the box, and you got Waller who can just take off down the seam. So you're going to have to bring everybody, you can't crouch everybody in the box or bring everybody within 10 yards or 12 yards of the line of scrimmage. You're asking a lot of trouble. So they got to, back everybody off. That's going to help Saquon. So it's all, once again, the theory relative. Everything's all relative, right? So, but I mean, that's a good dynamic too. But it also shows you what what Barkley has meant to Daniel Jones' success, right? And and of course, if you get Daniel Jones some more weapons, that's only going to make that better too. So that's another one of the reasons why it's really, really important that we wind up, getting Saquon in there. I think it's just a matter of time. As I said, I keep hearing this a lot, and it's really, really true. Deadlines makes things happen. So we got till July 17th. What's today? The 23rd, almost the 24th. We got 6 days. We got 23 more days. We got over 3 weeks. I mean, that's a ton of time to get something done. So I would be rather shocked if something doesn't get done, but we'll wait and see. But I'm saying as far as a new long-term deal, I mean, I'd be shocked if Saquon didn't play this year. Absolutely shocked if he didn't want to play this year. Then the Giants got this other thing, which is kind of, truthful if you look at it. It says the more the merrier approach. If you want to looking at, because they didn't wind up having a true, right? Their true number one wide receiver, right? And we have what's probably going to be our number one weapon as far as throwing the ball, which would be Darren Waller. But he's a tight end, not the wide receiver. What's up, Terrence? Pick your poison. That's it. The weapons make defensive game planning. Oh yeah. It's all, it's all, because I'm saying, because if you got like two missiles on the outside and you just start creeping people up inside the box, because a lot of times you got the cornerbacks, they want they're gonna have the coverage, behind them, so they can either, press them at the line of scrimmage and run with them for 5 or 10 yards and pass them off to the safety, or they might run with them, or whatever. But they're gonna have something behind them. But if you got Hyatt on one side and Slayton maybe on the other, and and then you get and then the thing about that, it's kind of tough if you have a couple of safeties really back deep. It's kind of tough to run like 3 guys, because then the safeties can kind of play in the middle of the field and watch which way you're going to throw the ball. So it's kind of tough to, But you at least spread the stuff out, or if you can get, maybe Slayton and Hyatt maybe on the outside stretching the field, that, keep the safeties honest, keep them back, but then that's going to open up stuff way underneath, right? Especially for, Bellinger or Waller, or if you got to keep them back, well, then they can't crowd the line of scrimmage and try to take away Saquon, right? Well, you can take away Saquon, but, okay, go ahead and try to take away Jalen Hyatt as he's running past everybody. Or, bring up, okay, well, you can take away Saquon, but, good luck trying to take Waller, as he's running down a seam or something, So it's, that's the beauty of it. You got to pick your poison, and it was a lot of it was kind of like, us trying to play the Eagles last year. What are you going to do? They have the best offensive line in football. They have a very, very good, solid Dallas Goedert tight end. And the thing, is that, they didn't really have any injuries last year. If you look at some of their positions, some, not all, but if you look at some of their positions, they start getting some injuries. They're going to start getting a little weak. Their dam is going to start going to be getting some holes popped in the dam. If they start getting some injuries in certain positions, maybe not defensive line or edge rusher or something like that, but certain positions, there's not a whole lot of talent behind them. But anyway, I said, you look at with the Eagles, if you try to play your normal, put some pressure on the quarterback, but you want to keep AJ Brown from gouging you real deep, or DeVonta Smith or whatever like that, you're playing your, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say normal defense, but you're going to give up the run. You're going to get gashed, right? Or you can just start bringing up everybody into the box and try to, the RPO, Jalen Hurts, is he going to hand it off, or is he going to take off? Well, if you kind of take that away, then you're leaving yourself back there wide open. So it's like pick your poison. What do you want to do? You want to make it where AJ Brown doesn't gash you for 10 catches for 187 yards and 3 touchdowns. So okay, you maybe take him out of the equation, or maybe limit DeVonta Smith to maybe 5, 6, 7 catches for 50, 60 yards. Just limit it. Right? Limit the damage, but then you're getting gashed with the run. I mean, instead of putting up 250 yards a game running the ball, pick your poison. I mean, you can't. It's like, you can't double team everybody. We'll just double team all the receivers. Okay, yeah. You can't do that. So it's like pick your poison. So I mean that's hopefully with the Giants will start getting to that point. There's be interesting to see what they want to do is going forward. Maybe next season if they try to get themselves a one wide receiver, because then that could be pretty scary. But that brings me to the wide receiver. That brings me to this more the Merrier approach. What the heck is it? NYC Sports, New York City Sports Nation. All right. They had an article out here. It said the approach that led to the most interesting group on the Giants. It says heading into the end of the offseason, it was clear that the Giants needed a number one wide receiver. The only issue is that the receivers on the open market didn't exactly fit that mold. Quite frankly, if they were a true number one wide receiver already, they wouldn't be on the open market. That's true. Instead of overspending on a receiver, Joe Schoen took a different approach. This approach led to what all will undoubtedly be the most interesting position group to watch coming training camp. I mean, seriously, it is. It's like, who's going to make – it's the wide receiver group. Who's going to make the final 53? If you figure that quite possibly, and I think it's the first 6 weeks they have to miss, I think. If Wan'Dale Robinson and Sterling Shepard's trying to get back before the regular season. He's trying to. That doesn't guarantee that. But, I mean, if you figure if Wan'Dale Robinson and Sterling Shepard wind up starting on PUP. But even besides that, then who's going to say we keep 6 receivers and then you put like one maybe on, I don't know if they even try to put 2 maybe. I mean, as I'm saying, Bryce Ford Wheaton, if they can get him, I mean, can they get him on there on the practice squad, without somebody taking him. So, but I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting group to see in training camp. See, the Giants' first order of business was bringing back some receivers from last year's team. These players include Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard. All these receivers were brought back on reasonable deals. Joe Schoen then added to the room by bringing in a number of other receivers on team-friendly deals, such as Paris Campbell, Jamison Crowder, and Jeff Smith. The Giants also already have Wan'Dale Robinson on the roster, who will be coming back from at some point this season from a torn ACL. The final step in adding to this room was drafting Jalin Hyatt out of Tennessee in the 3rd round. And it's like I said, let's not forget about Bryce Ford Wheaton. Don't forget about that guy. I mean, hopefully is that, we'll be able to, I'd be shocked if he makes the final 53. Really, really shocked with the talent the Giants have. But I mean, they gave him like some type of a contract, right? And it's going to be interesting to see if they can be able to get him on the practice squad. Let's see. It says the reports out of minicamp are the main 3 receivers in the starting lineup are Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, and Paris Campbell. That makes sense. I mean, as of right now, I can see that. That this makes sense, but are players behind them that the Giants have investments in. Jalin Hyatt was the 3rd round pick, and they will want to feature. In last year's draft, the Giants took Wan'Dale Robinson in the 2nd round before tearing his ACL. He was playing well. How the Giants find a way to feature these 2 will be fascinating. On the back end, it will be intriguing to see who makes this team. Sterling Shepard is the longest tenured Giant, who, when healthy, is arguably the best receiver on the team. But health is an obvious issue. Jamison Crowder is a veteran, experienced veteran, who has been a very good NFL player in the past. Absolutely. Jeff Smith is a big special teams player, right? How the Giants decide who claims that last receiver spot will be one of the main things to observe during the final cuts. And they didn't even talk about Colin Johnson here either. I mean, in this report. instead of what they did here with the Giants, is they talking about instead of signing one big name, the Giants front office took the more the merrier approach. How that shakes out in training camp will be fascinating. Yeah, I mean, because they brought in obviously a whole bunch, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see, who's able to make it, because I mean, it's just rather apparent just from a numbers approach. If you just break it down, somewhere along the line, some of these guys that they brought in are not going to be here. I said it's going to be interesting to see, like with Jeff Smith, because basically he's going to be pretty much like a special. I mean, he play wide receiver, sure. They need him, absolutely, but he might be predominantly a special teamer. Now it's going to be interesting to say. It's like, well, Jamison Crowder, or do we want that Jeff Smith who's just going to probably play on special team? That's where maybe Eric Gray comes in at, because he was, possibly maybe returning punts or kicks, one of the two. That way they can have Eric Gray, who they drafted on the 53, which you darn near knows is that's almost a lock, having Eric Gray on the final 53. So it's like, we brought Jeff Smith in, or, I mean, you go with a bunch of guys. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just a numbers game. I mean, with Slayton and Hodgins, Campbell, Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard. I know I want to forgetting somebody. Crowder, Colin Johnson. I mean, it's just Jeff Smith. It's like, I would be shocked if somebody like a Khalil Pimpleton or something like that wound up making the final. Where we had the final 53. Somebody like that. All right, we got Hodgins, Hyatt, the two H's, and Jamison Crowder. David Sills, like Khalil Pimpleton, Mekhi Polk. But is it Jeff Smith, Colin Johnson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard, Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton? I mean, if you look at it like that, if you just go Hodgins, Hyatt, Crowder, Slayton, Robinson, Smith, Campbell, Shepard, and Johnson, that's 9 guys. If you keep 6 receivers on the 53. At least 3 other guys. Even if you keep, I mean, if Wan'Dale and Shepard start the season on the pup, that gives you 6 weeks to, that would give you 7 guys. That means probably one of them. That would be Hodgins, Hyatt, Crowder, Slayton, Campbell, Smith, and Johnson. Those 7 guys would be trying to make the final 53. And if they only keep 6, that means one of them would probably be on the practice squad. Now, of course, as we saw with Colin Johnson, unfortunately last season, he didn't even make it to the regular season. So if something like that happens, well, now you haven't, now maybe if Colin Johnson were to get hurt, then you would have Hodgins, Slayton, Campbell, Hyatt, Crowder, and Smith. I mean, I said, unless Polk, Pimpleton, or Sills makes it, which, you never know. You never know. But I mean, if Johnson were to get hurt, then you still have 6. And then you probably, between Polk, Pimpleton, and Sills, keep one of those guys on the practice squad. But the thing it would bind up in is when, Robinson and Shepard come back, quite possibly if they come back, after when they get taken off the pup 6 weeks or so into the season, as I said, hopefully not, but we might obviously have an injury or 2, so we might maybe bring those guys in without really having to cut anybody because somebody's injured, right? So, I mean, but if nobody's injured, the Giants got a number problem here. But it's like more the merrier. I mean, which is a good thing. A good thing. The nice thing is that we don't have it's not like we brought Jeff Smith in for $7 million a year, and we just brought Paris Campbell in for he's at 9, and we brought Jamison Crowder in for he's at $7 million a year too. So man, if we got to cut one of those guys, that's a lot of dead money or what, that's not the case. We brought a bunch of guys in, and if one of them, for whatever reason, doesn't make the team, got to get cut or whatever, you're not losing a bunch of money. But, that is the one thing they did do. With the Merrier approach. But, you got to be, reasonably, we don't have the number one. Oh, good evening. Good evening, Gridiron. As I said, we don't have the number one, but you gotta look at this group, and it's like a nice diversity of guys, some slot guys. We got speed, we got height, and then of course, we got two really good tight ends, and let's not forget about Cager too. Maybe if he keeps working on his credit, because he was a wide receiver, tall guy, right? He had at least one touchdown last year. So, we have some nice tight ends too. Obviously you're not going to get maybe a ton out of if Cager. It'd be interesting to see, is Sweeney make the final 53 or is Cager? Are they looking, the third tight end? Is that, they're looking for maybe that additional blocker when they need the 12 personnel, or they just, we got Bellinger and we can bring a swing tackle in if we need a jumbo lineup or something like that. So we'll keep Cager and we'll maybe put Sweeney on the practice squad, whatever. It'd be interesting to see how they go. But I said, all the wide receivers they got, but I said, but then, between Cager and Bellinger and Waller, you got some nice receivers there too. Obviously, Bicep Bellinger's, you got a good blocker there. So, but they certainly took the more the merrier approach. And I said it'd be interesting to see if somewhere along the line, like next season, if they go after a number one wide receiver. It'd be interesting to see. Now the problem, because the one problem is that you want to win. Hey, let's tank this year. They got a few good wide receivers coming out next year. If we win only 3 or 4 games, obviously, so you want to win. So you don't want to be picking in the top 7 or whatever, trying to get those wide receivers next year. So, if you're picking in the 20s again, it might be tough to get a Jamar Chase, somebody like that. But it doesn't mean that somebody decently may not fall to you in the 20s. Or Shane could couple up a couple picks and move up and grab a nice wide receiver in the first round next year. I'll have to wait and see, but be interesting to see how they go. But that's one of those things I'm really interested to see how it all starts shaking out. Who do they keep on the final 53? Who makes it to the practice squad and who maybe doesn't make it? I'm kind of hoping, obviously, that it's not. Well, we got to keep these guys because these 3 other guys got injured. They're out for the season, so we have to keep these. I hope it's kind of not something like that. But that's a nice problem to have, having too many, guys. All right, then I saw this fan-sided G-Man HQ. It says 3 reasons the New York Giants defense can become elite this season. All right, it says the New York Giants might just have an elite defense on the horizon. Just maybe. Last season, Wink Martindale showed fans what he can do with some key players out. Minimal depth and inconsistent secondary. Now Joe Shane provided Bobby Okereke in free agency, and the team also added Deonte Banks in the draft. Those 2 now join a defense that has the potential to make a major step forward in the upcoming season. We have to stay healthy. When you take a glance at the defense, it actually looks like one of the best in the NFC. We all know how much of a difference maker Dexter Lawrence is, and it can even get better. Last season, the stud defensive tackle put up a career high in sacks, and he might just set a new one again. That's possible. Fans are eager for year 2 of Kayvon, on top of hoping for a healthy season from Azeez Ojulari and Leonard Williams. That's always the problem. Can they stay healthy? And not only can they stay healthy, but can the sexy one avoid from getting injured? Can Kayvon, stay lucky and not have somebody try to take his knees out in spring training, I keep saying baseball, in exhibition games, right? The defensive line could make some major noise in 2023. Well, I mean, if they're talking about the defensive line with the edge, let's keep it also and keep in mind that Leonard Williams is getting older, right? He's still, but he's taken a ton of snaps in the NFL. He's only had one phenomenal sack season. Dexter Lawrence had one. He had 7 or 7.5 last year. So I mean, he had a very good season. But I mean, if we're rotating guys in, let's not forget about Nunez, Roaches, and A'Shawn Robinson. But you're not going to get a lot out of those guys as far as the pass rush. And then if you're bringing guys in behind Kayvon and Azeez, even if they stay healthy, where are you going to get a ton of sacks at between Oshane Ximines, Tolman Fox, Ellerson Smith, Hottie? Where are the sacks going to come out from those guys? Right? So it says they got 3 reasons why the Giants can be elite in 23. It says the Giants secondary is young, but ready to make an impact. They're okay. All right. I mean, we're talking about Adoree Jackson, in his article, but I mean, let's not forget that Adoree Jackson may not be here next year either. It says last season the defensive line was great, but the secondary was too inconsistent at times. Xavier McKinney missed a large chunk of time with his injury. That happened during the bye week. He is a difference maker for the Giants as the team was 7-2 with him on the field. Yeah, but they had the easy part of the schedule, But says without the young safety, the G-men were only 2-5-1, but they played a hard part of the schedule then. So now adding Banks to the secondary should help McKinney. A lot of fans are very excited to see Banks suit up for the squad, and they believe he can make an immediate impact. I think so. Now with the first-round pick, Adoree Jackson's job will be a lot easier. I think Giants fans can admit he's not a number 1 cornerback, but he is more than capable of being a number 2. With the Philadelphia Eagles having a powerhouse offense, they need a powerhouse defense to stop them. Oh, yeah. Jalen Hurts is not going anywhere, and neither is A.J. Brown. Having a lethal pass rush and a budding secondary could help the Giants steal a game or even both games from divisional rivals. Even outside of the division, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, and a lot of other teams have outstanding offenses. Oh, yeah. It makes sense why Shane would try to build up this defense. When it comes to the offense, the Giants are going to be heavily relying on Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley again. For the defense, though, expected to be the opposite. Martindale has a young defense that could just be one of the biggest surprises in the upcoming season. All right. And they said the second reason why the Giants could be elite. I'm having a hard time with this one. The Giants have a loaded pass rush. I'm kind of having a little hard time with that one there. I mean, as I said, if you look at Azeez Ojulari, healthy Azeez Ojulari. If you look at Kayvon Thibodeau, who takes a step, steps it up this year, takes it to the next level this year. I mean, doesn't have to take a Hall of Fame leap or nothing like that, but gets a little better. If the sexy one, right, we can rotate him in there, keep him relatively fresh. And if Leonard Williams can come back and if he's healthy, the front four should get some pressure. And if we start, obviously we're going to be blitzing some people. So, we can do pretty good. The thing is behind those guys, because you start rotating guys in. If somebody gets injured, you start rotating those guys in. Where's this from Nunez, Roaches, and A'Shawn Robinson? Ryder Anderson, I believe he was like maybe good like on the edge. I mean, he beefed up, so he'll probably be more obviously in the middle. But I mean, we got DJ Davidson, Vernon Butler, Jordan Riley, Ryder Anderson. Where A'Shawn Robinson, Nunez, Roaches. I mean, where are we going to get pressure at from those guys? Where are we going to get pressure at if Kayvon and Azeez aren't in there? So we obviously have to blitz people, which obviously Wink will do. It says here, Thibodeau is one of the most intriguing young players in football today. At times, he looked overmatched. Yeah, at times. But quite often at times, he was also being held around the throat, too. But the second half of the season, he flashed serious, but also that too. In the beginning, right? I mean, he's coming back. The dude, well, trying to take his knees out. Good luck trying to pass. Become a pass rusher, going up against a tackle or whatever, and you got problems with your knees. Good luck there. But Kayvon flashed serious potential in the second half. He can turn into the player that the Giants coaching staff thinks he can be. Then the defensive front is going to be unreal to watch this fall. Well, let's not get that carried away here. I hope they are, but all right. With Thibodeau, Lawrence, Ojulari, and Williams all coming at opposing teams' quarterbacks, you can expect to see an increase in sacks rate. Now, this does require Ojulari and Williams to stay healthy because last season they did miss some time. In his rookie season, Ojulari recorded 8 sacks and played in all 17 games. Entering his third season, fans are hoping to see him on the field more than he's off. When he's on, he strikes fear in opposing offenses. Absolutely. If they can manage to stay healthy as much as possible when the defensive line should for sure perform. The line is depth and 4 guys who can be legitimate X factors. Lawrence is for sure expected to be an X factor and is just signed a huge contract extension. Now, let's not forget, lead old line, his contract's up. He wants to stay here. Let's see how much he really wants to stay here. And then we'll have to see after the season's over with how much the Giants want him to stay here. So, I mean, if Leo has a great season, don't be surprised if the Giants, reach out and, offer him another contract. So I'll just have to wait and see. But then they also have here, Bobby Okereke is the player the Giants have been missing. Yeah, he's not the most, obviously if he was like the number one middle linebacker, inside linebacker, whatever you want to call him, in the NFL, he wouldn't be $10 million a year. He'd be a heck of a lot more. But for $10 million, for what he can bring, he's not the greatest in coverage. In space, the final frontier. No, in space, you give him room to run around side, keep him free from a lot of blockers and all that. You're getting tackles, absolutely. But he's very, very. Obviously, he's a huge upgrade over what we've certainly had. That's for sure. It says, is Okereke the best linebacker in football? No, but that doesn't mean he's not going to make the defense a top one in the NFC. Oh, I definitely think without question he's going to be, he's a huge asset. Absolutely. Former Colt stud was one of the top linebackers in football during his 4 years there. He's only going to get better too. Okay, I hope so. According to this article, they say he's only going to get better. All right. As he's only just 26. So that's fantastic. You love that. So hopefully the 4-year contract, hopefully he's here for 4 years. So 26, so he won't even be 30 by the time the contract's up. So that's fantastic. Okereke is simply a tackling machine. Last season with the Colts, he recorded 151 tackles, which ranked 10th in the NFL. Giants haven't had a linebacker like this guy in a very long time, and he could turn out to be one of the best signings of the offseason. Martindale has a solid secondary. We got a lot of competition. We certainly got a lot of depth in the secondary. That's for sure. There'll be a lot of competition. Be interested to see how that shakes out. See who's the one standing next to McKinney when the opening day starts. That's going to be interesting. Who's the dude going to be in the slot? Is Holmes going to be able to hold that down the fort there, or are they going to have other people in there? Very, very interesting. Obviously, also who can stay healthy as well too. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Aaron Robinson. Let's see who can stay healthy. Martindale is a very solid secondary and potentially an elite pass rush. The problem, what I would like to see, obviously we got to get that. I'd like to see a third pass rusher. That would be fantastic. Last season, the Giants were just 2 wins away from reaching the Super Bowl. Yeah, but to get to those 2 wins, would have had to beat the 49ers. Well, the Eagles did it because the 49ers had a 37-string quarterback in there who couldn't throw a football. So yeah, yeah. But the Giants were 2 wins away. obviously they would have had to beat the 49ers, who were a very good team, and obviously the Eagles were an amazing team last year. Now, I'm not saying the Giants are going to be one of the best teams in the NFC, but the conference is wide open outside of two teams. And one of those teams, 49ers, don't even know they're playing for quarterback. With that being said, if the New York's defense takes a major step forward, expect Big Blue to be right back in the playoffs. This time, though, they might be more prepared to go even farther. Oh, I definitely think, without question, they certainly got better, without question. So, I said this. Got this article here from G-Men HQ Fanside. 3 reasons the New York Giants defense can become elite. Let's just hope they get a little bit better and stay healthy. I'll be all fine for that. I'm not so sure about the elite part just yet, but we'll have to wait and see. Then I got my what do I got? My continuing series here. I got the cornerbacks. All right, so the Giants cornerbacks versus the rest of the NFC East cornerbacks, and it's not looking pretty for the Giants here. The problem is with the Giants is they have obviously with Deonte Banks. The other thing that I'm kind of comparing Deonte Banks with, all right, is Washington with Emmanuel Forbes, who got taken before Deonte Banks. Now the thing is that we have no evidence of what they can do in the pros. We have what they can do in college, but we don't have what they can do in the pros. So we're assuming that Deonte Banks is going to be, let's hope, very, very good cornerback. But I'm not going to say, Deonte Banks is better than James Bradberry is going to be. I'm not going to say that. Even Stephon Gilmore, who's up there in age, he had I'm just taking the grades by PFF. I've seen Stephon Gilmore play somewhat last year because I sort of, did see him wind up playing some games with Trevon Diggs as well too. But what I got here, I got the Eagles at number 1 between Darius Slay and James Bradberry. Now, I think they might have Avonte Maddox might be their 3rd cornerback. He missed some time last year. He played 9 games. He started 8 of them. So between possibly Avonte Maddox, James Bradberry, and Darius Slay, I like the Eagles cornerbacks number 1. So our wide receivers got some work cut out for him. The only one I think is that Bradberry and Slater are starting to get up there in age a little bit. So, but I like the Eagles at number 1. Then I get number 2. I got the Cowboys with Stephon Gilmore. Even though he's getting up there in age, he graded out very well last year, very well. The thing I'm a little kind of is because he's been on 4 different teams. This is his 4th team in 4 years. If he was just such a dynamic, player, amazing player and all, don't you think somebody would want to hold on? We're talking a cornerback here. Why all these teams letting him go after 1 year? Kind of makes you scratch your head. But, last year, he graded out 79.1. It was really graded out really well last year. But Trevon Diggs graded out a 67. He's a ball hawk, though. Stephon Gilmore graded out very well. And I'm not exactly sure who the 3rd cornerback's going to be. I got one guy, Bland, Deron Bland. He played in 17 games. He started 8 of them for him. But, if he's going to be their 3rd cornerback, they had another guy who, let's see if I can, but he's not on the team anymore. Where the Cowboys at here? Dallas Cowboys. No. I'm sorry. Hold on. Cowboys last year. I forgot who it was. It was Anthony Brown, but he's not on the team anymore, I don't think. So I'm just saying, if they have Bland, Gilmore, and Diggs, that was wound up being a nice trio right there. I got Washington at number 3 because they got Kendall Fuller. I'm going to take Kendall Fuller over Adoree Jackson. The biggest reason why is because Kendall Fuller gets interceptions. Adoree Jackson, if I remember, he's only had, I think, in his whole career, 3 interceptions in his whole career. I mean, he had none last year. All right. Interceptions, 3 in his whole career. So he's not much of a ball hawk. Kendall Fuller has 15 interceptions in his career. Kendall Fuller has played for one more year, I think, than Adoree Jackson, but he has 15 interceptions. So he's a ball hawk. And they got Emmanuel Forbes, the Commanders I'm talking about, and then Benjamin St. Juste, who didn't grade out, too horribly. But if you compare what St. Juste graded out at compared to what Darnay Holmes graded out at, St. Juste wins hands down. Because Darnay Holmes graded out at 44.3. His coverage grade was a 49.5. I mean, he certainly had some good moments without question, but he did do some struggling as well, too, as far as his penalties, too. So, I mean, I got between Kendall Fuller, Emmanuel Forbes, and Benjamin St. Juste, I think they got it over a little bit over what the Giants had between Adoree Jackson, Darnay Holmes, and Deontay Banks. Because basically Emmanuel Forbes and Deontay Banks are like a wash because they're both rookies. They're going to be starters, but they're just rookies. So they're a wash. So I would take for the Commanders, I would take Kendall Fuller over Adoree Jackson. And then Benjamin St. Juste, if he winds up being their third cornerback, I would take him over Darnay Holmes. So I got the Eagles cornerbacks number 1 with possibly Avonte Maddox, Bradberry, and Slay. Then I got Diggs, Gilmore, and Bland for the Cowboys. They're number 2. The Commanders are number 3, and the Giants cornerbacks are number 4. Now let's hope that's not the situation next year. Let's hope the Giants, gets better. But the Giants also have a question. I mean, if they don't have Adoree Jackson back next year, if they don't, re-sign him, who's their other cornerback going to be? Can Aaron Robinson step in? They got a lot of depth there, a lot of competition. But who can be cornerback number 1? Who could be cornerback number 2 next year? So that's going to be an interesting. So what I got left, I got the safeties and I got special teams left. I got 2 more positions left. And then I got 10, 20. The Eagles are at 36. The Cowboys are in second place at 32. The Giants are at 28, and the Commanders are at 24. So basically, it's the way everybody finished last year so far with 2 positions left. So I got this. Tomorrow I'm doing the safeties. So we'll see if the Giants can pick up any points there. But as I said, the Giants with their corner. I mean, hey, we got Adoree Jackson. Let's hope Deontay Banks is the real deal and all that. And that's absolutely fantastic. But I mean, as of right now, I got them in 4th place. So that's what it is. But it's been 52 minutes, guys. Whoever spent any time listening to me, thank you. As always, D3, C3, Pishan. Good talking to you. And Terrence, as always, buddy, thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. So if anybody spends any time watching me, thank you. If anybody spends any time watching the replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. Thank you. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!